America loves to present itself as the shining city on a hill, the place where success is always within reach, where freedom and opportunity define the future. But if you step away from the polished skyline, past the glowing advertisements, and down into the forgotten streets, you will find a different story. This story is not about wealth, but about survival. It is about people who have lost their homes, people who have lost their dignity, and people who have been pushed so far to the edge that selling their bodies is the only way they can get through the night. This is the story of homelessness and prostitution in America, two crises that are deeply connected, painful to witness and yet often ignored. Every night, in almost every American city, men and women set up tents under highways, spread blankets on sidewalks, or curl up inside old cars that no longer run. For them, home is not a safe place. Home is whatever patch of ground they can claim until the morning. The reasons are endless. A job lost, rent too high, medical bills that drained every dollar, a violent partner that forced someone to flee, or a mental illness that went untreated. Some had stable lives once, but a single crisis pulled them down, and without a safety net, the streets became their only option. Being homeless is more than being without a roof. It is living in constant uncertainty. Where will I eat today? Will I be safe tonight? What if the police come and clear the camp? What if someone steals the only bag I own? For children, it means growing up with trauma. For women, it means living every moment with the fear of being attacked. And for far too many, it means falling into choices that no human being should ever have to make. This is where prostitution enters the picture. When the world offers no other way to survive, the body becomes the last bargaining chip. For a homeless woman, prostitution might mean a meal. It might mean a motel room for the night. It might mean just enough to keep going one more day. But it also means danger, shame, and pain. For many, it is not a choice made with freedom, it is desperation in its rawest form. Homeless youth are hit the hardest. Imagine being a teenager, leaving home because of abuse or rejection, only to find yourself on the streets with no money, no friends, and no shelter. Within just days, many are approached by traffickers or pimps. They are promised food, safety, or love, but what they receive is exploitation. Studies have shown that nearly 1 in 3 homeless youth are approached with offers for sex in exchange for money or shelter within 48 hours of being on the streets. That is how quickly hope can turn into exploitation in America. For adults, the cycle is just as brutal. A woman may turn to prostitution for survival, but the risks are everywhere. She may be assaulted by clients, robbed, or arrested. The money she makes rarely lasts, and often it goes toward numbing the pain through drugs or alcohol. Once arrested, she carries a criminal record that makes finding work or housing even harder. She is trapped in the very system that punishes her for being desperate. Men are not immune either. Many homeless men also sell their bodies to survive. Some do it quietly, through hidden arrangements. Others do it openly on the same corners as women. But unlike women, their struggles are rarely acknowledged. Their desperation is invisible, their stories untold. And still, they too are victims of the same cycle, homelessness breeding prostitution, prostitution reinforcing homelessness. The contrasts in American cities are shocking. In Los Angeles, sprawling tent cities stretch for blocks, while luxury condos rise just a few streets away. In San Francisco, billion-dollar tech companies operate in glass towers, while homeless women stand on corners offering their bodies for food money. In New York, shoppers carry expensive bags out of stores while homeless people sleep just a few steps away. The divide is so sharp, it feels like 2 separate nations exist side by side, one of wealth and comfort, the other of poverty and despair. But instead of helping, the system often punishes. Police clear out homeless encampments, destroying what little stability people have. Women caught in prostitution are arrested and thrown in jail, while the men who pay them often walk free. Cities spend money on enforcement rather than solutions. And in the process, the cycle keeps going. More arrests, more fines, more displacement. None of this solves the problem. It only hides it. The truth is, homelessness and prostitution do not exist in a vacuum. They are symptoms of deeper problems. Rising housing costs make rent unaffordable. Wages remain low while living expenses keep climbing. Healthcare is expensive, and mental health services are out of reach for many.
Addiction treatment is limited. Shelters are overcrowded, and affordable housing is scarce. When these systems fail, people fall. And when they fall, the streets and sex work are often where they land. This is not just an individual tragedy. It is a social one. The health of a society is measured by how it treats its most vulnerable. And right now, America is failing. It is failing the homeless man sleeping on the sidewalk. It is failing the woman selling her body because she has no other way to eat. It is failing the teenager being trafficked in the shadows. And it is failing itself by looking away, pretending the problem doesn't exist. But what if we looked closer? Behind every tent, behind every woman on a street corner, there is a story. A mother who worked 2 jobs but couldn't keep up with rising rent. A veteran who came home from war but couldn't escape the nightmares. A teenager rejected by family for who they are. A man who lost everything after a medical emergency. These people are not faceless. They are human beings, and their suffering should not be invisible. Solutions do exist. They are not simple, but they are real. Affordable housing programs can prevent people from falling onto the streets. Shelters can provide safety and stability. Mental health and addiction services can help people heal. Job training and support can give people a way back. And for those trapped in prostitution, exit programs, safe housing, and protection from abuse can offer a second chance. But beyond programs and policies, what America truly needs is a change of heart. It needs to stop seeing the homeless as burdens and start seeing them as neighbors. It needs to stop judging those in prostitution and start understanding the desperation that drove them there. It needs to replace punishment with compassion, silence with action, and shame with dignity. Because at the end of the day, homelessness and prostitution are not about them. They are about all of us. They are about the kind of country we live in, the values we hold, and the future we are building. A society that allows its people to sleep in tents and sell their bodies for survival is a society that has lost its way. But a society that chooses compassion, that chooses to care, that chooses to act, that is a society that can rebuild itself from the ground up. Homelessness and prostitution are America's silent crisis. They are not on billboards, not in campaign speeches, not in the glamorous stories told about the American dream. But they are there, in every city, on every street, in every shadow. The question is, will we keep walking past them, or will we finally stop and face them? Because until we do, the tents will spread, the corners will stay filled, and the silence will only grow louder.